Like most people, I play a lot of games. I don't really watch TV all that much, but of course, I do on occasion. Even so, I have been exposed to different types of creeps because of playing games, watching the show, or seeing clips of them on YouTube or TikTok. And it really got me to realize as I got older how differently people look at these creeps in the fandoms they're in, and in general, all because of their gender. So today I will be talking about 4 different creeps from 4 different shows. So without delay, let's get right into it. First, I will talk about one of my favorite villains of all times, and one who some consider flat out evil, but others say he can come off as creepy because of what he has done in the past. And it's none other than Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. Now, I know you might be wondering, why is he on here as a creep? And it's simple really, it's because he's a mass murderer. He's destroyed planets and killed billions, which is something that, if you really stop to think about it, is very creepy. Frieza is a villain, yes, but never does anything nearly as bad as the other 3 I will talk about later. Frieza is simply a strong character who can kill almost anyone with ease in his respective universe, Universe 7, and knows the power he has. He uses his power to scare others into submission, to do as he says, and even if they do as he says, he'll probably just kill them later on anyways. He does a great job at being a powerful, imposing figure throughout Universe 7, without doing anything disgusting, aside from killing a lot of people, innocent or not. The fans handle him very well and know how he is, and for the most part give him respect and also make fun of him because it's funny. He is a good character to have that is creepy, and if I stop to think about it, I remember what he has done way. Overall, Frieza is a great character who the fans love and appreciate for being a strong, threatening, yet who can also be a funny character depending on how he interacts with the world or some of the things and people around him. Now, from this point on, I will put a warning because the video from this point on will talk about incest, pedophilia, and grooming. So if you're uncomfortable with any of these subjects, please stop watching the video and go ahead and do whatever else you want to do. Next up is Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, and oh boy do I have a lot to say about him. First off, he's a very powerful character. However, his downfall comes from the fact that he is literally a pedophile. Throughout the show, Hisoka looks at Gon in very inappropriate ways, moans his name as they fight, gets turned on in the middle of a fight, and looks at both Gon's and Killua's asses. Not to mention in the manga, and I think the show if I remember correctly, he can be seen asking Illumi permission to kill his underage brother, and does an inappropriate hand sign that means sex in Japan as he asks Illumi. He is obviously a huge creep, and by far the second worst character I'm going to be talking about on this list. Similar to Frieza, the characters in his universe know just how strong he is and obviously treat him with respect out of fear, or in the kid's situation, get very creeped out and know how strong he is. Most of the Hunter x Hunter fans I have seen hate Hisoka, aside from a very small group. The very small group that finds Hisoka hot, defend him, and claim he only likes Gon and Killua's power, and that he isn't into kids. But while this is half true, due to him being attracted to power, they still missed one of the major parts of his character. He's a creep and openly likes children, with proof throughout the manga and the show that he is into children. There is absolutely no way to excuse any of his behavior for literally getting turned on mid-battle with Gon, looking at their asses and asking to kill Killua while making a sexual hand sign as he talks about a minor to the minor's older brother. He is a creep, and there's no doubt about it because of how much proof is against him within both the manga and the anime. And even though the fans that like him defend him and claim he isn't a pedophile, you're missing the whole point of his character. He's just a flat-out creep, someone who got blessed with insane abilities and power, but uses them for bad and is genuinely a bad person. You're not meant to like him, you're meant to see how evil and creepy he is. Now I want to talk about Makima, and unlike the other 2 shows, I haven't really watched Chainsaw Man. I watched the first 2 episodes when they came out, and I did stop watching it because first, like I said before, I just don't really watch TV all that much, and also because I didn't care about it like that, it never really grabbed my attention. However, I do see clips of Makima on TikTok and occasionally YouTube, and all I have to say is, she is weird. Though she isn't a pedophile unlike Hisoka, she is a groomer. She doesn't use Denji for sexual reasons like Hisoka wishes he could with both Gon and Killua, but grooms him in order so he can do whatever the hell she wants him to do. And unlike with Hisoka, Gon, and Killua, you can't really tell the age difference between Makima and Denji just because the art style draws them to seem pretty close in age. So let's go ahead and see how old they are. Makima is said to be in her early to mid-20s, and Denji is about 16 years old in the first season. Then in the next season, he's said to be about 18 years old. She started grooming him when he was in his teens, which is not okay. Obviously, she isn't as bad as Hisoka, but grooming is still bad regardless of how one plans to use their victim. Of course, there isn't anything wrong with having characters that are bad people. It just gives a little reality into what you're making. And unlike Hisoka, I can still see someone really liking Makima, aside from the fact that she's a groomer, because from what it seems, she does have a lot of personality to her. However, her fans are a different story. Instead of owning up to what she did and what she is, and accepting that she's a groomer, they find everything else to try to defend her with. I have seen so many of her fans claim she isn't a groomer, which is wrong because she is one. Despite the fact that most groomers do intend to use their victims for sexual reasons and she doesn't, she still ended up grooming Denji to do whatever she wanted him to do. She is a groomer. If the fans simply would own up to it by saying, this is a good and well-written character, but her downfall is she's a groomer, I would honestly have no problem with it. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I don't like Makima, because I genuinely don't like Makima. But I also have enough understanding of when it comes to making fictional TV shows or video games that even if you have a character like Makima, you're still going to have people who like and enjoy her character. And what makes this worse is the fact that she's a woman. So unlike with Hunter x Hunter and the very small amount of fans who defend Hisoka and just like being annoying, it ends up being almost everyone in the fandom who turn into annoying and insufferable idiots by simply not owning up to one of their favorite characters, and one of the main characters of the show is a groomer. Lastly, I will go over Mei from Jujutsu Kaisen, who is, in my opinion, the worst character on this list. Now, like Hisoka, she's a pedophile, and like Makima, she is a groomer. However, the big difference is unlike them, she's into her own brother. Yes, you heard that right. Her own brother, her own flesh and blood. I asked both my sister and one of my best friends, who both watch and like Jujutsu Kaisen, to know how she is as a character. Both said 2 words and 2 words only: pedophile and groomer. My sister even went ahead to show me a scene in the episode where she appears to have nothing on, in bed with her brother next to her. And she asked if they should sleep in the same bed, with him responding how it's inappropriate. Keep in mind, her brother looks no older than 12. They both have a very large age gap, seeming as if she's between 10 to 15 years older than him. However, I can't tell if she's just into him in a romantic way and or wants to do sexual things with him. Even so, it's disgusting and wrong. Unlike Makima, I see the fans split 50-50 on their opinions on her. One half hates her, and reasonably so. The other fans I've seen say it shouldn't matter because she's just a fictional character. I have watched the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, plus the movie, but I don't really care to finish it as of now. However, I feel even with seeing little scenes of her that she's a disgusting character. The part I find scariest is that this happens in the real world, like with both Makima and Hisoka, but Mei takes it to the next level with it feeling so much more human to me. So much so that my skin crawled when I watched a scene of her and her brother in bed, and unlike Makima, I can't see any reason for anyone to defend her at all. She is a creep, and one that just so happens to be attractive. And the only reason they defend her is because they find her hot. If they didn't find her hot, I know everyone and their mother would be hating on her. I just find it baffling how the fans can change depending on the gender and the looks of the creep they're talking about. And while I do see people talking about it, I feel as if I never see enough people talking about it. Some fans just can't help but try to defend characters that are bad people instead of accepting who they are. The more people who try to defend characters that are just bad people just come off as insufferable and very annoying. I bet if you put a real person in front of them who is similar to Hisoka, Makima, and Meme, they would automatically say they're a horrible person and not like them. Hell, you could probably put a very unattractive person who does the same thing these three do, and I bet you they would hate on them all because they're ugly and not attractive like the others. But how can you claim you don't like people doing things like that, but then proceed to defend the very characters who represent real-world situations of manipulation and just being flat-out creepy? You're making no sense, and obviously, just like Hisoka, Makima, and Meme, because you view them as hot characters within the show you're watching. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to talk about today, because it seems as if little to no one has a brain anymore and love fictional groomers for some odd, strange reason. Thank you to those of you who stayed on to the end of this video. I'm trying to hit that 1 subscriber goal, so if you wish to hear more of me, you can go ahead and subscribe if you want. And a big thanks to my best friend and sister for helping me do some research on this video, and another thanks to my sister for reading over my script to make sure this all sounds good.